and Josh, I would say, are probably the best two at coming off the couch, setting the beer down, and going racing.
I couldn't agree more because Josh is pretty gnarly, and he beat Mark Spanks that day in the dirt when Mark Spanks had just gotten a 5th at Daytona Supercross. I'm like, God dang, dude, you're off the couch, and then you two guys just go into this. I keep talking about a black, dark, scary place, and that's just the way I envision it. Like, we got to go robotic and.
Dude, yeah, it's obviously we're all racers at heart, and Josh was an amazing racer, so was I, right? So like we have that. I feel like our riding style still can go fast. We haven't dated ourselves with a riding style per se, right? So, it's fast. I mean, dude, every time I lined up, I knew it was going to be a fight. It really came off to, obviously like we all talk about starts, getting a good start. Especially Mammoth. Mammoth is a tough place to pass at. But no, dude, it was fun, but way harder than I would have liked to have to ride.
I believe
That's
it
for sure.
And I just love the idea of you guys parking next to each other and low key, just like, man, whatever happens. Because you even said it after you said on the first day you raced, you go, I checked all the boxes. I got a moto win, got a good start. I'm cool if I get 5th tomorrow. I'm like, bullshit. I don't believe.
They would have done it any different, because like here's the other thing I have two, like I want that. That's my current mentality, right? Like got a whole shot, got a moto win, got second. Was able to get the overall, and actually I didn't. Maybe I didn't process it. Maybe I didn't know this. I have no idea. Forgot. I didn't know there was another day of racing. So then somebody says there's a fucking 3-foot bear, like a big bear, and I'm like, okay, now I gotta like, am I really gonna bitch out?
Yeah, we need this 3-foot bear.
Well, exactly. Then also I have the other side of it. I don't want to show my kids that I'm a quitter.
Absolutely.
Truth.
I did get beat Moto 1. I didn't go 1-1. It wasn't easy. Like I was, as soon as I came off the track in Moto 1, like all I could taste was blood in my lungs.
Is that legit? Like for real?
Going so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, not like like
just
when you exert like that. Yeah. Well, just you basically stressed your lungs out. I grew them. Like it was, but it was a lot.
By tearing them, right? So it's.
Yeah, you tear them. Like that's as athletes, you want to tear them and they rebuild and they build stronger and just like muscle basically. So, it was gnarly. Like when I heard Josh signed up, I'm like, oh fuck, it's gonna be a race.
Hey, how bad did that elevation? I mean, are you at that elevation regularly, or is that something that you're just used to over the years, or how does that affect you these days?
I mean, I think it affects everybody the same, meaning the same as like you put this all in the hurt locker, maybe some little less, but it hurts going up there. I asked my kids if they noticed it. I could notice it at the end of the night, like they were just fucking smoke compared to being down at home a lot more. But I didn't. I asked them, well, how'd you feel? Can you feel the breathing? Now, you can never, an 8-year-old, she tells you the truth, or whatever he comes up with, pulling out of the clouds.
Yeah.
But it seemed like it affected them towards the end of the nights, the days, things like that. But it affects everybody. It affected me.
Yeah, I thought it was difficult up there to just be athletic. I mean, we live in Georgia, so to all of a sudden just be at that elevation, man, that was tough the first time I raced.
Yeah, John and Nick were there last year.
Second time, it only affected me in the days leading up to it. I'd wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and realize I'm breathing pretty shallow here, but during the race day, I was fine. So I just wondered. I always think that's an interesting dynamic for that particular national.
It totally is. It's a total. Colorado for the Pro National, I think, is only like 60, 6,000, right? At 6,000 or 6,100. So it's quite a bit lower.
Yeah.
Than Mammoth. I think the track at Mammoth sits at 7,900, but just your sleep's affected. Like you get shitty sleep for a while. Like you got to get used to it. That's for sure. That's why they always used to say, like, if you're not going to have 2 weeks to spend in altitude, you fly in and fly out.
Last
get
minute,
your job done as quick as possible. Yeah.
Choose your strategy or whatever. Yeah, I've heard that before. There's people like Anderson was always known for altitude sickness, so he would, I guess, choose to roll in last minute.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
yeah.
Well, let's. I want to go back to the Nations real quick. When that might be, it's got to be one of your best days on a motorcycle. I know you've had other days that maybe more, you rode faster, but I was there and it was for a fan and to watch you and watch Ricky give you that gate. I was like,
07?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and we're
Yep.
going to preface that by saying that we are the nation geeks.
We are total savages for that race, man. Yeah, so 07 is what he's referring to right there, Ryan.
Yeah. No, I think it's the biggest, one of the most special races to be a part of. Number one, but yeah, home soil 07 there, like it really couldn't have gone any better. RC giving up inside gate, which was a strategy thing, smaller bike. But I obviously got two great starts too, and I've explained this to some other people that it was almost like a Matrix, like the movie Matrix when he's dodging the bullets. Like you really couldn't do anything almost wrong that day for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, that's the days you search for, right? And you've had those days. Not only there, obviously there was a ton. That one, to me, everybody knew kind of that you were probably coming. But man, I look back on that. You seemed like such a kid. I mean, how old were you that year? Do you remember 07?
So 07, I would have been. I turned pro in 06.
So you're like
07, I would have
17?
just. Well, I turned at Loretta's the last year I was there. I believe I just clicked over to be 17. So I did Binghamton in 05.
Okay.
So 06
okay.
would have been. So I think 19. I was
19?
right there, maybe just to turn 19.
And for
I think.
That's always been talked about as one of the most dominating performances for a 250 at the Motocross Nations. I'm telling you, we're geeks about this race, but it was incredible to see you just go right to the front like that, man. It was. I've got a picture right here above the fridge of RV on the 250. It's sitting right over here.
Yes.
Around the corner. So and it's you on the Cowie 250. So yeah, interesting. So your day-to-day Yamaha responsibilities these days. I mean,
Yep.
we see you at events and stuff. Is there anything during the week, or is this mostly here's your calendar, show up at this?
Yeah, basically it's a calendar deal that I work off of. So all Blue Crew events, we did 3 of them so far. It could be bike intros, 2025 stuff. Could be media intros, stuff like that on new products. Could be side by side. It could be some on-road stuff I've done. Tanneray 700, which is the off-road side line, which Damon handles a lot of that too. He does more of those events. And then we both tag team off of like Moto events too. But yeah, it's more of a scheduled deal, weekend or whatever they have me scheduled out for.
Yeah, and I can imagine, just like anybody with young kids. I mean, your plate probably feels extremely full, doesn't it? I mean, you've got somewhere to be at all times.
It does. Yeah. I mean, look, I could have worse scenarios, or have even more busy and have to actually really have a real job, right? So.
Right.
I'm yeah, what's that? I'm very blessed in that regard, right? Like, other than, and even my work, call it work, my Yamaha gigs, like, it's not work. Like, it's a fun group of people that we go and ride dirt bikes with and go off-road. So, like, it's more of actually, it's the break from doing mini bike dad and being home all the time. It's like, okay, now I'm just going to go have zero responsibility, other than waking up and being on time for when we start. So, but it's a really good gig. I enjoy the guys, like everybody, Mike Ulrich at Yamaha, like we have a blast. Damon, Doug Dubach's involved in it. We're with Doug all the time. And then we have, Ironman for MXON. This coming year, we're bringing, a bunch of Americans plus a bunch of other 65, 85, and 125 racers from around the world.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to, like, bring 60 bikes or something to have on hand. So I'll be there a little early, I think, helping out.
Yeah, we saw that at Matterley and even Ernay, the Blue Crew race. And I mean, it's I could imagine for those kids to get to race in front of that crowd, because there's not a crowd that's better than Motocross Nations, right? So hopefully these kids are chomping at the bit. I mean, how does that what do you know the selection process for that? I mean, I don't think they did that when you were coming up.
No, this is all new. This is all new this year, or the last 3 years. Blue Crew's really been pushing the last 3 or 4 years. So I think, like you said, Ernay did it, Matterley did it, and then we're going to do it this coming year. So that's 3 that I know of, and I don't think we did it the year before. No.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a hell of an opportunity. Now it's a little bit tough, obviously, because it's manufacturer based.
For sure.
So when you have a ride somewhere else, obviously that's a tough part. But to your point of why it's tough is because it's a race that you want to go to. It's a race you want to be there and feel the vibes, see it. It's on one of the biggest stages, and the tracks you typically always get, especially for American going to the European side, like. You can learn so much by participating in a race like that. So
yeah. Well, and I dig back. You probably, I would think you're probably too young. You might remember that Kawasaki Race of Champions.
Yep, I did it at Englishtown.
Yeah, Englishtown.
Yep.
Englishtown, and then they used to have them out west.
They had a Yamaha when they did it, Ponca.
Oh, that's
And
right.
all the riders were
Suzuki RM Cup.
RM
maybe
Cup.
have one too.
They did. They did that.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the ones like that you're probably talking about.
Yamaha,
Kevin,
where
where
everybody would ride.
Everybody just come off whatever they rode.
And they rode
hey,
that.
here's 15 identical
Correct.
mini bikes. Jump on them. It could never happen today.
No.
But when you see a
Nope.
full gate of Yamahas, it just strikes that memory for me.
Nostalgic.
Yeah, the nostalgic part of it. But dude, I'm telling you that that's a good look for Yamaha, and it's really a good time for you to be involved. I mean, I don't think anyone thinks that the most powerful bikes out there are not the YZ250F and the 450F.
No, for sure. From a manufacturing standpoint, it's great, right? Like they have great products. But what I also see going back, obviously, I've been spending a lot more time in the amateur world because my boys are trying to do this gig, right? So we've been at quite a few races this year, and from a manufacturing standpoint with Yamaha, Blue Crew, and then like Altus, Yamaha, right? Like they have a very big presence now, compared to say some of these other manufacturers. So I think that's what's really cool too, is the whole amateur side to get to maybe there's only let's call it a 1% play to ever get your starter ride.
Yeah.
But to have that trickling down into amateur racing like it needs to, and like it, I think it fell off for a little while. I think it's nice to have the semis back in. KTM has it, Yamaha Altus has it, so it's good to see because the level of racing is so high. It's so much higher than when I was a kid.
Yeah, so you can see the difference, I guess, because you were, I mean, for us, it feels like just a minute ago. Heck, our producer right here, Jake, had a picture of Loretta Lynn's, your number 20 on a Yamaha, getting a whole shot. You got Alessi on your tail, and, Jake's on the outside of you guys.
He was cheering you on. He did say, "Man, go ride."
Yeah, he was yelling, for you
while he was on the track.
upseat Alessi. But no, it seems like a minute ago for us, but you've done a full pro career,
And he's got kids that are
and
starting
you've got
it again.
kids who are circling back, and you're racing these races that you might have done as a kid.
Yeah, and speaking of that, did you ever did you want this, or did you kind of just like whatever happens, or how did that work out for you?
Yeah, so like we always rode, right? We had the Yamaha PW50, and then once we kind of outgrew that, or we weren't racing a lot, we were just riding. So I would kind of move them up. So we went to the e-bike, KTM e-bike, and rode that for a little bit, and then we went to Cobras. And this is all within a span of let's call it 3 years. Because at first we would ride. I'd only bring them riding once anytime they asked. So it could be once a month, could be twice a month. And then we were pretty heavy into baseball for up until spring this year, really. Brax was supposed to do a tryout for this spring session, or what would have been last spring session now. And he's like, right before, he's like, I don't want to do this, I just want to ride. Well, now Gage had already picked that. He's like, I don't want to play baseball. I'll play flag because I can hopefully still play most of my games because it's Friday night, and I can still race Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
So he did flag. They both did flag this year, but they both failed on baseball. And Gage said, he was the forcer, the driver of it. He's like, I want to race. And I said, okay, and then I said, but now it gets different now because we would just go and ride and this and that because now it changes very quickly, right? Number one, because everybody wants their kid to be awesome, be great on a dirt bike, or any sport. Baseball, I treated the baseball the same way, but when they quit baseball, I'm like, okay, now this isn't my wheelhouse. I know everything about this. I didn't know shit about baseball.
Yeah, that puts you in a weird spot, right? I mean, you're over here I guess I'll...
Yeah, how did you handle that, in terms of, who do I know that knows the most about baseball? How can I fast track and skip all the bullshit?
Well, luckily, we did the first, which was easier because the kids were younger. But last year, for example, when we played like a real team. It was kid pitch.
Yep.
And we went down, like we did the whole thing about it. There was 2 dads on there, the coach and then the assistant coach. And the long story was fun, like about it is funny. The super funny is he at the time I was 16, 17, and this is one of the dads. That was the assistant coach dad, and he's like, "Hey, name sounds familiar." And he goes, "I work with Bobby Nichols," which was my agent at the time. So I was 17. And he was like 22 in college, like getting hours in for one summer. And he's like, "I read through, your contract and shit." So now he was our assistant coach. So then I was kind of like the hype person, right? Because he knew what I did. So he knew I went high level. So then I would be like the call it like the hype man for the kids. Like, hey, watch the pitch, sit down. Like every person up to bat that was next, I would say, let's watch the pitch. Let's this, like study these guys. See how many does he throw high? How many does he throw all balls? So I was that kind of guy with the team. So I really got into it, and it was a lot of fun.
I can just see motocrossers are so bad at every other sport. Like the kid coming home and be like, "Hey, Dad, I need a helmet." "Oh, that's cool. We got plenty of helmets in the garage."
No, dummy.
Yeah, just put one of these on, son. It's got some dirt from Unadilla.
Yeah, walking up the plate.
Yeah.
Bell helmet or something.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah, his dad's another motocross dad, huh?
Yeah, he sent the kid up here with
I don't need goggles at bat, dude.
Yeah, right.
playing baseball with goggles.
Knee braces,
Yeah, you're set, kid.
Got
You'll be
everything,
safe.
a Thor batting glove.
But hey, I mean, that's got to be cool for you. I always kind of wished that my kid would say definitively, because we played baseball, basketball, football, and he raced motorcycles. And the motorcycle part, I was like, hey, we only need to do this if you really want to. So I think it's cool that you got to hear your kids say, hey, man, this is what I'm doing. I think that makes things clean and easy. The kid chose. Yeah.
It does too. It does. I mean, it makes it easy, that part, because you're not pushing it on them. But then it's just we also know, in my position anyways, and you guys too, like, how tough the road is too, and the injuries and the whole side of the whole game. So it's a love-hate relationship with it, Yeah. Like, fuck, are we really gonna do this again? Like that's what my grandma's saying. They're a great grandma, and then my mom probably said the same thing.
It's probably
really
heavy.
we're gonna go through this shit again.
Right.
Yeah, because you think moms, grandmas, I mean, they probably sweated everything way the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sweating it.
And I think even my wife a little bit, like, shit, really? Like, this is, and I said, dude, I didn't force it on them. And I said, the hard part is, too, like, what did we expect? Because I still do the Yamaha thing, right? So I'm riding quite often. I'm not racing anymore, but, like, and they see the, obviously, the fun part, the retired part of it. Yeah. And, like, I'm like, dude, you're not me yet. I gotta ride their ass and, make sure they're, like, give it 110%, and I would do the same thing in baseball too, though. Right. But it's that fine line, trying to squeeze every bit out of them, but also making sure they're not getting burnt out or thinking you're an asshole or whatever else.
You're probably not going to avoid that.
Yeah. You got about 4 more years, and they're going to think you're the dumbest human. They may not, though.
Gage, dude, I already deal with it with my one. Well, both of them, but my one all the time. I tell him what to do. Or tell him something, and he goes, "I already did that." And I'm like, "Dude, I watched it." He'll argue with me, and I'm like, I'm just like, fine. At this point, I'm kind of over it.
Yeah. I think what you have to do is
you
have to have an intermediary. Like, you have to, if there's something you need him to know,
Just tell him the guy.
You
got to get someone else
to tell him, and don't make him look at Coach.
Yeah, but do you hear how bad this sounds? We're talking about an 8-year-old right now.
Yeah.
Dude, who's the boss here?
16-year-old. Not a fucking 16-year-old yet.
I think they've got a career where they're going to be ruthless to you, and so they started early, or this one started early, he'll end early. That's my belief anyway. I think they've got a little run. They got to get it out of their system, and they'll circle back. So, hey.
Yeah, it's good though. It's good. It's fun. It's it's motocross, that's for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned your mom and I guess their grandma. How is your wife on all this? I mean, what does she think? Is she super supportive and loves going to the races, or is it a little bit of work to get her to go? How does it go down?
No. She goes to all of them. Pretty much most practice days too. So and her expectation is very high, also, just like mine, just like any one of us as parents, right?
Yep.
I think at first when it was like, hey, we're quitting baseball, she was bummed, and then it ramped up, and then it's even gotten to where, because we live in Newport Beach, right? So tracks are not easy to get to from where we're at, especially with afternoon traffic. Like I'll take, for example, to go to Paris, it's like 50 miles, and it'll take me 2 hours to go that distance. And it's at 3 o'clock, so we go and ride. So then I'm like, okay, if we're doing this, like we did this for like, I don't know, five months, and I'm like, we gotta move. So this whole thing has spawned us
You
moving
can't waste
back
your
to,
life in the car.
Where are you going? Where are you moving to?
We're gonna go to Marietta. We're gonna go to Marietta, out by Temecula, by Paulus. Apollo will be closed. Paris will be closed. Elsinore will be closed. You know, Jason just took that over, so that should be back up and running and be much better. At least for now, you know. So, but that's what it's. If you want it, but I feel like that's in any sport, right? Like if you want to, our baseball, same thing at a young age was so serious, right? So, it's just the trend of trying to be great.
Yeah.
So you're talking about your wife's into it and she enjoys that. Have y'all enjoyed, like, because in I don't know, you probably don't remember me and John harassing you and talking to you at the bar, but we talked to you in Matterly, and you had your whole family with you. So have y'all taken your Yamaha stuff and those things and you turning them kind of into vacations and enjoying that?
Yeah,
stuff?
so like Matterly, when we went, my mom was like, I gotta go. So my mom's like, oh, well, I'll go. Kylie, I think, went. She didn't go to work, so she just went. So it was me, my sister, and my mom went over to Matterly this last year. And yeah, it was a blast. Like, turn what is, if you call it work, I call it like beer drinking sessions when we're gone, you know?
Yeah.
So,
My man.
and then, the other thing is it's been my whole life from a young kid, and then obviously at amateur racing, you start meeting people, and then from that point on, these are basically extended family, right? It's the only people we know.
Sure.
Like in my position, right? It's call it being in one. If you're a welder, for example, and all you do is welding shows, then all your friends are at all the welding shows, you know, like, or whatever, if that makes sense. Like everybody that I've met or dealt with or have been friends with or whatever.
Yeah,
has
like
been
your whole life, right?
My whole life, because you know I went to school for about 5th grade and then was homeschooled. So like, call it for friends. I was a kid with those people, you know.
Mm-hmm. That was a cool thing about Matterly, the way it was. That hotel we were all in was out in the middle of nowhere, and so the restaurant at night was just, there was nobody there that wasn't a moto person.
Everybody knew everybody.
Yeah, and like the whole, like,
Everybody knew everybody.
Yeah. So the whole restaurant would be like, all the tables were full, and it was like everybody went there together because everybody knew each other. It was nothing but moto people.
Yeah, and that's another reason why that race is so special, because that never happens here in the States, right? Like it's a one-off that you get everybody all on one team too. You're right, like Team USA.
Yeah, support. Everybody's on the same team. Everybody's
One goal,
thinking the
one
same way,
purpose.
one goal. Yeah, for sure. And there's been a ton of efforts. Ryan, on those years that you represented your country at Team USA, I mean, what was that like financially for you? There's never
behind the scenes,
no
how much
payday.
support were you getting from the AMA or whoever
did
got
you get
there?
any, or did you have to pay?
Yeah,
or-
were you paying to go?
I believe, I don't know how it is now, obviously, but when we were there, if I can remember correctly, like I believe they give you hotel rooms and like a flight for 2 people.
Okay.
And it very well could have been 1. So, but like me, obviously I went over as a kid, so my mom, my sister, my dad went, so it was all of us. So no, it's money out of pocket. I think the only money to be made is basically off of, if you can work that into your bonus structure.
Okay.
Of being Motocross the Nations, of being, you know.
Is that
honored
common?
as
Is that something that you see very often in contracts?
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you if I couldn't even tell you to look up one of mine, but if I even had that in mind, I don't know.
Call your baseball coach.
Yeah, call your assistant coach.
Call
You
your
know,
boy
I
that
think
worked for
as a
Bobby.
racer, you're worried about what you're going to get paid. If you get selected for an event like that, it's honor, right? So,
Yeah.
I believe there is bonuses in there. You know, like you're not going completely for free. It could still be a $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 weekend.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we come from the belief that there doesn't need to be any out-of-pocket expenses for you guys. I mean, there's been some big strides. The AMA and Christina Denny and others, heck, us. We're working for ways to build a fund to where, Tomac said one year, hey, man, this race cost me $10,000. I just think we'd love to have it to where these guys aren't thinking like that because, it's such a special thing for us. I think it's really cool that you got to do it multiple
But
times.
I also think, too, if 10 grand's, I get, I know it's 10 grand, but,
Yeah.
that's a drop in the bucket, right, from somebody like myself or Eli.
For sure.
It really comes down to scheduling, and I don't think the biggest problem, I think, is we don't do a good enough job with the amateurs, right? It starts with the amateurs because those are the next ones that you can really make a change with, meaning, you can go try to get all the funding you want here and there and whatever else, but that still doesn't change the mentality of the person that's being picked to go.
Okay.
So, we have the Junior World Cups coming up, right? I think it's this coming weekend.
It's right now. Yeah, they're already out there.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly. I know we sent one gal on a Cobra 60. I forget her name. Is her name?
Reagan Heighton or
She's
something like that?
no,
Racing?
not Reagan. It's she. Yeah, she had dreads. I think at Springading. But my point is I know she's going. I don't know who's on the 60, the 85 or the 125. But if we can start there and teach them or show them how prestigious this race is and what you're going there for. And then also the experience of going to Europe, because most of us don't go to Europe very often until we get older. I went to the Junior World Cup. It was in Asti, Italy in 2003 is when I went. Super special race, right?
Yeah.
So, I think there needs to be a better job on that, breeding these kids to actually want to go.
I know, the Yamaha Cup that they did before, I think that's what it's called, I'm missing that, but the one that they did after the Nations this year, John and I talked to a couple of the parents of the kids. Didn't we talk to a kid from Australia or something, like the parents from Australia? And, man, you want to talk about honor. They were fired up.
Yep.
Yep. They were over the moon to be there racing. And it did look super cool to me on that start. How it was a downhill start?
Yeah.
Whole gate of blue bikes coming
Yeah,
out.
man. I'm telling you, it's
each other,
nostalgic.
we had to come off at one time.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yamaha rider with a whole shot.
Yes, Kevin can nail
Every
that
time.
announcing portion right there. So you're saying some of these, like the Junior World Cup, maybe it can build into these guys that, hey, this is something when it's time, you're not going to get paid, but you need to do it. We're such dorks for this race, and I feel like there was a slight trend. Kawasaki didn't seem to support it. If you were a Cowie rider, it's almost like you weren't going to get to go. There was a time just recently where no one was raising their hand, and I don't want it to be like that. So that's the only reason I bring this up.
And Ryan, you can speak to the schedule based on how lengthy the schedule has grown into with the SMX stuff and the playoffs and all that. I'm sure
even tougher.
it's even
because
harder.
The schedule's even longer.
Correct.
It does, yeah, it totally does. I think it, like I said, it comes from breeding or instilling in the kids, right? Like what it means to go race for your country at this particular race. Yeah, if you can't do that and they don't have that thought, it's always going to be a byproduct. Okay, well I get paid for 70 supercrosses and 11 outdoors and 3 SMX rounds, right? Like that, and that is the truth. That and that's I think also even the people that are on the teams, like if they valued that race more, it wouldn't be a question, right?
For sure.
But we don't value that race. Is why it is the way it is that way.
We're hoping to turn the tide on that a bit because it's special. I mean, when you look back on that race, we'll quit talking about it here in a second, but when you look back on
Loretta
that,
Lynn's or any one of these amateur races, or whatever, if it's happening, then there should be some type of we do not a great job at making sure that people are watching it, right? Like this is where it's a huge race. Like they don't realize it until they go there, and then the first time you're there, you're like, holy shit. Because Motocross Nation, like Matterly, right? Like I think when we were was 60 or 70,000, Bud's Creek was shoulder to shoulder the entire place. It feels like a soccer arena, not a motocross event.
I can tell you, Matterly, this was my first one last year when we were there, and I've been to a bunch of stick and ball events, like almost everything. And of course, I'm a motocross guy at heart, and I went and I was like, "Holy shit, this is the coolest thing I've ever been to." Like it was.
Dude, and I think Matterley was light this year. I thought Matterley was
It was lighter
than
I thought it
was.
would be. I agree with that.
Yep. Yep. So my point is, it still had that same vibe, right? That you're talking about how big and gnarly and crazy and
Leprechauns
smoke
jumping
bombs
the
and
fence.
chainsaw. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I want to switch gears and ask a question from our Instagram post. One of the guys asked about Hayden Deegan. Does that riding style translate to the 450? I mean, he's going to haul ass, but you give me your take on how he adapts and has to challenge Jet.
No, I think it does. It's just different than what we're used. It's different than what we're all looking at as Jet right now. So, I kind of look at Hayden as in between a way more refined version of like myself, because I was more refined than RC.
Yep.
Right. RC had that like hang it out, just crazy, like just bouncing off stuff, as we all saw, which was we all loved to watch. And then I was a lot like that, but more refined. And then I think Hayden is like me a bit, but way more refined. So I think it will work on 450. I mean, it works for us.
Yeah.
We need to. I mean, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask and bring the fact up. And I happen to be a minority on the show every week. Like
You definitely are tonight.
I'm constantly a minority on the show.
Yeah, you're about to hear why.
Is that the fact that you gingers seem to dominate motocross?
Yes.
And I mean,
We're dominating the show right now.
Yeah, there's 3 gingers.
John's redhead. I'm thinking
I'm
red.
not asking you to feel sorry for me, but they've got you, Kevin, and John here, and I'm the only.
It's awesome. We had Drew Adams on
non-ginger person.
not
Yeah,
long
Drew
ago, and it was
Adams. I'm
amazing.
so there's got to be we're trying to chase down the genetic correlation between being really fast on a motorcycle and having red hair.
Go find.
There are characteristics.
Yes.
There must be myself, Trey, RC, Timmy. I don't know who else.
Yeah, who's your Mount
Kevin.
Rushmore of redheads? Top 3.
There it is.
Come on, you throw yourself on there.
You just named a bunch of them, so you do it.
Well, obviously it would have to be me, RC, and Kevin Kelly. He's